This is Miss Lizzie, and I want to welcome you to the Queen Lizzie podcast. Together, we will go through the history of Rosewood, Florida, and watch as the once prosperous town rises out of the bloodshed, fire, and ash to reveal the people, the memory, and the legacy of Rosewood. Watch every Thursday on Facebook and YouTube, or listen to our story on Apple or Google Podcasts, Spotify, iHeartRadio, or wherever you find your favorite podcasts. Hello, everybody. I am Lizzie Robinson Jenkins, representing not only the Rosewood Foundation, but the personal testimonies and history of cherished friends and community. You are now watching the Queen Lizzie podcast. Today, we are talking with Sabrina Williams. Welcome, Sabrina Williams.
Thank you for having me.
I am honored to have you.
I am honored to be chosen.
Okay. The chosen few, right? But anyways, Sabrina and I are sorority sisters, and that's not why she's here. She does a lot in the community, and she is going to share some of her skills, leadership skills, with us today.
Yeah. So I guess just for starters, I am the program administrator for Alachua County for Department of Children and Families, the Child Abuse Division. And so basically what that means is every child investigation that comes into Alachua County, I have oversight over that. So I've been with DCF for 17 years now. I started out as an investigator. I did that for about 2.5 years. In 2010, I became a supervisor. I was a supervisor for Bradford and Union County from 2010 till 2018, at which point I transferred over back to Alachua County because I was an investigator in Alachua County, got promoted, went to Stark, and then transferred back as a supervisor to Alachua County in 2018. And then in 2021, I got promoted to program administrator.
Perfect. And she is doing a lot. She works with groups that work with Rosewood. We tie all of this together because it's history, and we are doing phenomenal things to make sure the history of Rosewood is preserved, make sure our girls, the groups that we work with, the organizations that we work with, is exposed to Rosewood and the preservation of history, because we tell our kids American history, Black history. Is
Remember, I bought my youngest daughter your book.
Yes.
And she had read it in probably 35, 40 minutes. But before reading that, and she was, I believe Deja was maybe 9.
Yes.
9 or either 10 when she first got the book. That was her first time ever hearing about Rosewood.
Really?
Because, she knew a lot of Black history. She went to the Caring and Sharing Learning School. So, she was just like a little mini HBCU over there. But this was her first time really understanding Rosewood and what it was about. So she had a lot of follow-up questions about, how it happened, why it happened, where is it? And I had to explain to her that it really isn't a place just yet, other than just a sign, but that you're working on having a place for people to actually come to and go to remember Rosewood.
But that's important, because seeing that book for the first time, if it made that kind of impact on her, just think when all of our kids, and we're going to make sure all of our kids get a copy.
And understand it. And no, well, not just understand it, but remember it. That's the thing, remember it. Because a lot of what we learned, and I'll be 46 next month, so a lot of what I learned in middle school and high school, there was a focus on Black History Month. I had an African American Studies class, both in high school and at UF. My kids are not afforded that opportunity anymore.
Exactly.
And so, they know Rosa Parks, they know Martin Luther King. They might know George Washington Carver, but other than that, it's pretty much a wash. It's not focused on anymore.
You are right, but I tell people that there were inventors, historians long before MLK, and that's what they know. They know when you say Martin Luther King, they know. But there were people, there were us, they were our ancestors before Martin Luther King. So
Right.
Martin Luther King is really on the shoulders of our ancestors, just like we are. And I tell people I was before Martin Luther King because 1960 in St. Augustine, Florida Memorial College, I sat at the lunch counter before Martin Luther King came to St. Augustine in 1964. I had graduated and gone. However, I appreciate the work that he has continued
Right.
to do and the legacy that he lives in. I know he is proud, as my mom, my historian, my Rosewood historian, is proud that we are continuing to keep the history alive and
Yeah.
move it
And
forward.
it's not easy. It's actually I would say a struggle now,
It
just to
is.
keep the conversations going.
Definitely is. It is. And you just participated with me on March 9th.
I did, yes.
At the at my event, which was called the Matilda Gussie Brown Carrier. She was the school teacher in Rosewood. And I named that event the Influential Awards event, gala, because she was really damaged in Rosewood
Yeah.
in 1923 during the massacre. She was followed. She was harassed for the rest of her life. For the next 25 years, she did not have time to sit down and enjoy her life. Okay. So she was not an influence. She was my mentor, but she could not influence me because she was too busy running and hiding. So I decided to come up with women here in Alachua County that represented influence.
Right. And there's a lot of women here in Alachua County that have a very strong influence, very strong.
Exactly. Even you, but I couldn't use you this year. But there will be more. Yes, there are so many, as you just said, so many. I had a couple of people come, well, why didn't you? I said, well, I started with 5 and ended up with 8. I couldn't add any more. I could not add any more, but they were most appreciative.
Yeah, so it's important work, and it's important that you recognize them.
Exactly.
So.
And they were most appreciative.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we had a...
I learned a lot just looking in the pamphlet because several of them I'd never heard of before.
Okay. Yes.
Yep. So
Yes.
I definitely learned a lot that night.
I really did. And one in particular I wanted to, well, two. One in particular I wanted to talk to, and she wanted to talk, but she was in a wheelchair, was Tony Collins. Hi, Tony. I hope you're listening. Tony is from Levy County. She was my rock. I started my research in Rosewood at the Levy County Brunson Courthouse in 1993. And Tony was working at the courthouse. And she was showing me she showed me where to find everything, and she helped me. And do you know the clerk of the court fired her because she was helping me research Rosewood. But it didn't break us. It did not divide us. I think we became even closer. And I have been knowing her since 1993, and we talk often, and she is a jewel. And I had to represent her, but she was fired, just fired for meanness. And I'm not.
So they didn't want like you digging up Rosewood history.
Exactly, to the point that April 23rd, April 28th, 1993, I was in the downstairs in the basement at that same courthouse. She wasn't there this particular day because they had fired her before then. And a group of men, white men, encircled my table, camouflage pants. I knew they were white. I could only see their hands. I didn't want to see their face. I don't know why. I guess it was from old years ago where we could not make eye contact with white people. I don't know. You were not born during that time, but I was in like the Jim Crow era, and our parents would always say, "Get off the sidewalk for white people and don't look up. Don't make eye contact." I never looked up, so they didn't see my eyes, but I saw them. I smelled the tobacco, and if I had looked up, they probably would have been satisfied because they would have seen the fear in my eyes. Gotcha. I did not give them that satisfaction. And that was a move of God. Only God told me not to look up. I didn't. So they left after they intimidated me. They left the room.
So they never said a word.
Never said a word. Encircled the table a couple of 3 times while my heart was in my lap.
Wow.
It made me very fearful. So I gave them like a 30-minute start. So I said, let me get out of here. I collected my items, went up to pay the cashier. She said, what's your name? She needed to write a receipt. And I said, Elizabeth Pinterchatter. I didn't want them to follow me, so I gave a false name.
Yeah.
And she said, spell that Pinterchatter. I did. And I spelled it so fast. She said, now, will you spell it again? I spelled it different because I didn't remember how I had spelled it. So I got out of there. I went home. I told my mom, this is it. I can't go back. I will not do this. I am scared. It's too painful. Mom said, sit down and relax and rest and take a few days and go back and finish
what
mine.
you started.
Oh, my God.
Yeah.
I knew she didn't love me. I knew she didn't. But she wanted her sister's information out there. You got to tell it. You got to preserve it. Because she was mom, I did that. And because of that movement, I'm talking to you today. I'm still here.
Mama knew.
Mama knew. Mama knew, but
Mama
it was painful. So I tell people, because of my mother, I am telling my Rosewood story. And I want to thank Steve Spurrier. I want to thank Freddie Weeby, who is the producer with Zach and Philip of this show. And Meldon Law is one of the supporters. Greg Bradley with Allstate Insurance is one of the supporters. I thank those people. And I don't thank them as much as I should because I get so excited and so carried away I forget. And like he was saying, we were saying before the show started, the brunch is the weekend brunch here at Steve Spurrier from 11 to 3. Every weekend. It's the best, y'all. If you haven't been here, you don't know what you're missing.
Right. So, and it's all you can eat, right?
All you can eat.
I'm up for the challenge.
I know.
I am up for that challenge.
I know. And one of the times I came here, I just wanted everything. I could not eat it. They said, well, you can take it with you. I'm not recommending that to you all, okay? But I just wanted everything. They had everything. They had so much food here. And the food here is just, it's different because they order their food daily. It's fresh food daily. And I don't know what they do with the leftovers. I don't know. They do not serve it the next day. They're closed on Mondays and they open from 4.
I did not know they were closed on Mondays. Okay.
Yeah, And they open 4 p.m. each day. And like I said, it's always crowded. It's always crowded. The drinks are good too, okay, if you drink. And I didn't intend to say that, but I love the Steve Spurrier Aloha. I'm thinking that's what it is. That's a recommendation, you all. But anyway, we have talked about some of the things that we have done. And the other night I also there were, the whites have always told me, not only Tony, but others said, Liz, this is our history too.
Right.
And I had a couple of people to come from New York. They flew in from New York. John Wright was a store merchant. John Wright's wife, nieces came all the way from New York to be a part of this program.
Nice.
Awesome.
Yeah, I really liked it when I can't think of the governor's name, but his granddaughter
Carrie
got up and spoke.
Hardy. Yes.
Yeah, that was profound. Because I felt like her heart was heavy from what had happened way back then. And even though she had nothing to do with it, you could tell that she's been carrying that all these years. So
until last year, 1923.
Yeah.
I mean, 2023 when she shared that with me.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't know what people think of me. I said, look. And she said, I loved my grandfather. I said, you were supposed to love your grandfather.
Right.
And what people said about him or didn't say about him, you had absolutely nothing to do with it.
Nothing at all.
And like you said, it was a relief. That's not the word I'm looking for.
And I'm glad you provided that platform for her to be able to say, how she felt or what she's been carrying all these years. Like, that was...
Yes.
Yeah, that was a lot. That was heavy.
It was heavy, and when I talked to her, "Hi, Lizzie, how are you?" She is so happy because I broke the ceiling for her to be able to do this, and I was disappointed because there was one person didn't show up. John Wright, not John Wright, the sheriff, not the sheriff, the train conductors, the granddaughter of William Bryce, one of the train conductors that gave me all of the information, she didn't show. And I had been calling her, phone number disconnected. So yesterday I went to church and Stark. Remember the quartet that came? I worshiped with them yesterday in Stark. And Briceville is like 23 miles. I said, I'm going to Briceville. I'm going to find Margaret. Guess what?
What?
Margaret died 2 years ago.
Oh, goodness.
I was so hurt, but her children remembered me, her husband remembered me, and they made me, they welcomed me. I took pictures. I went to the cemetery and took a picture of her that I'm going to post later. Okay. But I was just so heartbroken. I take this personal. It's like, they're my family too.
Yeah.
They're human beings.
That's your roots.
It's my roots.
Yeah.
And that's who we are. And it's going to take this to make a change or make a difference in history and who we are. We don't talk to each other. We don't know each other.
Everybody kind of stay in their lane.
Yes.
Because that's where it's safest at, I guess.
Yes.
Yeah.
Until we start talking. Yes. But anyway, that's about time for our first half. We are going to head to a quick break, and we'll be right back after a word from our sponsors.
Meldon Law has been serving personal injury victims since 1971. In those days, Jeffrey Meldon's presence as an attorney in the music scene dubbed him with the nickname the Hippie Attorney. And although times have changed, two things haven't: our commitment to bettering our community by helping the injured.
Albert, are you ready to go to the game?
And our love for the Florida Gators.
If you bleed orange and blue, Meldon Law is the firm for you.
I am Black History.
I am Rosewood Black History. I am Florida and America's Black History, and you are too.
January 1st, 1923, the KKK insurrectionists attacked Rosewood, killing 5, burning it down.
Because a white woman lied and cried, a black man assaulted me. Rosewood redevelopment is on its way.
Want to help? Visit rosewoodflorida.com.
Welcome back to Queen Lizzie Podcast, brought to you weekly from the Steve Spurrier Podcast Room at Spurrier's Gridiron Grill. We are here with Sabrina Williams.
And I am here with Queen Lizzie.
Yes, the Queen Lizzie Podcast is brought to you by Campus USA Credit Union, live from the Meldon Law Gator Studios at Spurrier's Gridiron Grill. Welcome, Sabrina. And Sabrina,
yes.
Did you attend the University of Florida?
I did. You know what? So I'll tell you, I was born and raised here in Gainesville, born at Shands. Matriculated all through here. I went to Lake Forest, Prairie View, Lincoln, Eastside. UF was the only school I applied to.
Really?
The only school I knew from the time I was in the first grade, and you're going to laugh, but we went to UF on a field trip to the WUFT, the newsroom, and while we were there, we had lunch, and it was like the best and biggest hamburger I ever tasted. And I said that day that I was going to go to school here because of that one hamburger. And it just fixated my mind on it. And actually in my letter, you know, you have to write the essay. I put that in my essay that I knew that I wanted to come here ever since that time.
Really?
And so, yeah, they were the only school I applied to. I ended up getting the UF Presidential Scholarship and the Florida Gold Seal Scholarship, which was kind of like the Bright Futures, but you had to choose one or the other. Yep, so I started that July of 96, and then, you know, we won the national championship that same year, and it was a party in those University Avenue streets, because I live right there in Sled Hall, which is like right on University Avenue, like stone's throw from the stadium. So we were out there celebrating. It was a lot of fun.
So that's the year that Coach Spurrier won, or you all won?
The national championship.
Okay.
We beat Florida State 52-20.
Rub it in.
52 to 20. So that's like 20 times 2 plus another 12. That's how bad we beat them.
I hope you all are listening out there.
And I'm not even a math major. Look at that.
It sounds like she's sending you a message, a history to remember.
Yeah, now I am a history major. I got my bachelor's in history.
Okay.
And then I have a master's in education. And actually in 2020, I got my master's in marriage and family therapy. So I am a proud licensed marriage and family therapist, and there are not very many Black marriage and family therapists in the area. So that's something I'm really proud of. It was definitely a labor of love.
Wonderful.
Yep.
Wonderful.
But it was something I always wanted to do. And one day, I guess I was about 36, 37, my husband was like, so why don't you do it? And I was thinking like, because I'm too old to do it. And here I am.
All right.
Yep.
Congratulations. You're
Thank
never
you.
too old.
Exactly. And I tell people that all the time, like, if there's something that you want to do, go
Yes.
pursue it.
Right, because
Time is going to pass you by either way.
Exactly, and I'm thinking about running for the governor.
There's the old ball coach.
Okay. Yes, I'm thinking about running for the governor at 85. Do you think I will win? Of course I will.
I would definitely vote for you. I would definitely vote for you.
But I'm not
for
a
sure.
politician, but I am interested in change. We need change. Yes, and we have some events that's coming up. Like I said, I like to support, and I want you all to know that I have written a song about Rosewood, and the most important verse goes like this. The Cedar Key train conductors were told to pick up in Rosewood. Standing by the tracks with a lantern, its young school teacher stood, waiting in desperation to carry out the sheriff's plans. Rounding up the hidden survivors to board the midnight train. That was my aunt, who played a significant role in helping to get the people out of Rosewood alive. So what I'm going to do is, I have already done it, but I am going to put that song on my Facebook, not Facebook, website, or both, so that people can go and purchase it for $2.99. It's a one-time $2.99, and you can play it for the rest of your life.
Gotcha. Okay. So you're going to stream it?
I'm going to. Yes, I am. What does that mean?
Oh, where people can just kind of hit play, don't have to actually buy a CD or something like that. Okay.
There you are. Yes. Well, thank you.
Anytime.
Yes. And we've got to raise money to build this museum that's already in progress in Archer. So I am going to ask you all to share it with all of the organizations, churches that you know. In fact, I have a young man out of Washington, D.C., who is a minister working with the Black Ministerial Alliances National.
Okay.
And he has agreed to talk to the ministers and get it in the churches. We need everybody to help us with that fundraising. Plus, you heard my song the other night about
I did, yes.
I think I'm going to post that too.
Cool.
It's an old song, but it tells a story.
And you wrote it?
I wrote that.
Okay.
I investigate everything I said is absolutely true. I investigated it, I edited it, and I wrote it. And I think I provided the music for it, but let me tell you how. I have an organ at the house.
Okay. You
And
got
I
an
was
organ?
Uh-huh.
Little known secrets of Queen Lizzie.
And I really don't, but yes, that song I did, I was just bumping keys. If you listen to it,
Okay.
but it sounds good to me. But anyway, we are also going to market that song.
Yeah.
And it's really good. It will be at a good time because, voting is so important that we vote. You all listen to us because people die.
Right.
Okay. For trying to vote, not being able to vote. So we got to register. We got to vote.
Yeah, and and it's not even about who you vote for, is that you're
Thank you.
exercising your right to do so. My mom passed when she was 56, but she never voted a single day in her life. She never even registered to vote. And so the only reason I knew the importance of voting was because I went to Eastside. You know, we had the pre-collegiate program with Herring, and that was something that she really impressed upon us. And supervisor of elections actually came out to the school, and so we registered to vote. And the first person I ever voted for was in the Clinton election. So that was cool. But I've literally voted in every single election
I have
since
too.
I turned 18. And
Yes.
then once I had children, because, you know, I have the 2 daughters, they go with us to
Perfect,
vote.
perfect.
You know, one will stand in the booth with Doug, one will stand in the booth with me. They get their little future voter stickers at the end, but they know the importance of voting. They know that it is a right, a privilege, and a requirement.
Yes.
And so my oldest just turned 18 in November, and proudly she's already signed like 3 candidate petitions to help people get on the
Wonderful.
ballot. So she understands the importance of it.
It's very important.
Yeah.
And I remember going to the booth with my parents and voting. Okay, and I have voted for 60, really 59, but it will be 60 by November 5th when
Wow.
we vote. And never missed an election, even if one candidate was on the ballot.
You
I
went.
voted. And my nieces now, my mom trained her grandchildren, great-grandchildren, you must vote.
Right.
Today they called me, Auntie, it's voting time. Tell me who to vote for. I said, well, I'm not going to tell you who to vote for. Well, you know we don't know. I said, well,
You gotta
read.
figure it out. Yeah,
Yes,
you
I
gotta
said,
figure it out.
read it and you figure it out because I'm not going to tell you who to vote for.
Yeah.
And we get through it. We get through it. It's important. It's very.
And like you said, people actually died.
Yes.
Like, were hosed and chased by dogs and
Yes.
beaten just for us to have this
Killed.
right. Yeah. Yep.
the Pettis, the Edmund Pettis Bridge. Remember, they almost killed our brother. What's his name? John Lewis.
Yes.
Because he and others wanted to vote. I remember all of those wicked days. I remember everything. And when I was growing up, I remember the lynching, the killing of Harry Moore down in Mims, Florida. I remember the night they blew his house up, and we would all get in the corner and pray. My dad was a prayer warrior. My dad was afraid of white men, and I say that often. He was scared to death because he owned property. And back then, they would kill you and take your property.
Take your property from you.
And he was
Wow.
scared. But Teresa Robinson, that lady was something else. She wasn't afraid of anything. That was a shotgun toting mama in her bra. I want you all to hear me. And a switchblade in her pocket. And the truth is,
You were ready for whatever.
she was ready. She had to protect her kids. Remember, I told you we had to step off. So she protected us. She
Yeah.
really did. She did not play. And I remember the first time hearing that switchblade. I was so little, I didn't know what it was, but I knew it was different. I heard something go click. Somebody was messing with her.
Oh.
Okay, click. But I grew up in that era. If I had it to do all over again, I would do it. But it wasn't happy. It was really, it was terrible. It was terrible. And I tell people, I grew up in Jim Crow era. I said, through my parents, I remember their suffrage. I do.
Yeah.
I really do. And I don't wish it on anybody. That's why I continue to tell the story about history, because we are better than that.
Right.
We have to make sure democracy survives. And I used that term back then in that song that I played the other night. Democracy survives. That is in my song. Okay, we got to, because we cannot go back. Seemingly that's where we're headed, or that's where some people want.
Yeah, we're definitely going backwards. But I also think that the care level, like, you can hear the passion in your voice when you talk about, voting and the need for it. That passion has dwindled over the years.
Yes.
You got 19, 20, 21-year-olds who couldn't care less about voting. But, we do a lot of this complaining and
I know.
being mad about it. But the power that you have to make changes, you don't use it. You just kind of keep it in your back pocket.
Well, I want to. I'm getting these songs out there. I want to make a difference.
Right.
I'm going to step up to the plate, the platter, and I'm going to do what I can to promote and encourage people to vote.
Yeah,
It's a privilege.
it really is. It's privilege, but it's also, to me, it's a requirement, and my girls know
Yes.
that it is a requirement that you vote. You don't sit idly by. You have to let your voice be heard.
Exactly. And that's what I try to do, allow my voice to be heard.
Oh, we hear you. We hear you. I will never forget watching CNN one day and Ted Yoho started talking about you.
You remember that?
I do remember that. I was like, that lady, people don't tell you no.
Yes, indeed, because, I was the social justice person for my sorority. And each year, for 6 years, they flew me up to Washington, D.C., and I made contact with
Yep.
my constituents up there, okay?
Yep.
And let them know who I was and what I was doing. So one day he saw me in the hall, Miss Lizzie. He always called me Miss Lizzie. I want you to meet my friends. I don't know if they was as happy as he was to meet me. He introduced me anyway. Took me to his office and said, sit. No, you sit in this chair. This is your chair. You all pay for this chair. And you know what he told me, and I believe it today. He asked me, do you want to run for my office, my position? No, I'm not a politician. He said, if you want it, he said, it's yours. I'm not a politician, Ted. Thank you. But we remain good friends. He supported me, and he said to them, Mrs. Lizzie said that she is going to build a Rosewood Museum. And his closing words were, if Miss Lizzie said she's going to build the museum in Archer,
She's going to build that museum in Archer. Yeah.
and he's going to be one of my speakers. Hi, Ted Yoho. You don't know this. I hope you're listening, but you will be one of my speakers.
So he knows now.
He knows now, and the world, I hope, knows that you are going to be one of my speakers, because he was fair. He was history was not political, because you know
Right.
what else? When he was in high school, he was upset at his teachers because he was not taught Black history.
Mm-hmm.
He did not know Josiah T. Walls was the first Black congressman in the state of Florida. Lived in Archer, Florida, taught in Archer, Florida. He didn't know that until it was his time to make that speech at the supervisor of election office and talk about him. He was upset. So he has made it his business to, stay up on history. So I
So
wasn't
kind of
told.
catch up on it.
He-
That's
uh-huh.
good. That's
Yeah.
very noble of him, actually. That's
Yes,
good.
to say that.
Mm-hmm.
That is very noble. And that's where we are, and we plan to go further together. We're stronger together, standing in solidarity. Would you like to have closing remarks?
I'm just happy that I can sit here with the Queen today. Yeah. And I mean, I like your platform. I like that you are using your platform to reach the people, which is what it's all about. At the end of the day, being able to
Right.
reach the people, each one, reach one, teach one.
Right.
And just, not being silent about Rosewood, because a lot of people just choose to be silent about history. And that's the reason why our kids don't know it the way that they should know it. So I commend you for being that squeaky wheel,
Okay.
and continuing to make sure that people know what happened at Rosewood. Because a lot more happened than what they put on that movie.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. A lot
So-
more happened, and you can always find me at rosewoodflorida.com. Order my books, because your grandchildren need to see and
Right.
read Lizzie's Rosewood Race. It talks about my childhood growing up, how I grew up in a very segregated community, in spite of our parents were so strong, their value system was so strong.
Yeah.
We survived. And they never taught us to hate, okay? They taught us to be polite to everybody, and we were.
Yeah.
And it will take you further.
Much further. Because look at you today. So,
I'm trying.
yeah. And you're doing an excellent job at it, for sure.
Well, thank you. Thank you very much. I am continuously Humbled, honored, and blessed to meet people daily and invite them to join in peace building, healing, and reconciliation through learning about the history of Rosewood. That will wrap up today's episode. I am Queen Lizzie. Until next time, this is my Rosewood story, and I'm sticking to it. Goodbye.
Bye.